I'm Nancy Maples-Remley. This is my husband, Tim.
Tim Remley. I grew up in Texas in a small little farm. We were poor. Yeah, the first time I had indoor bathroom was in September 1976 when I joined the Marine Corps and went to boot camp.
We didn't know we were poor because everyone that we knew was the same. 27 years later, we've been very blessed.
Yes, we have.
I asked Pastor Daniel to meet with me about joining CTK, and I told him that my husband's name was Tim, but he'd probably never meet him because Tim had some bad experiences with churches and pastors when he was younger.
I went to a Baptist church growing up. I ended up having a pastor at the church that told me that I wasn't going to amount to nothing, that I wasn't going to do any good.
It hurt.
It hurt a lot. After that discussion, that's when I decided I wasn't going back to church. And then I met my wife, and one of the questions she asked me when I met her was, would I go to church with her? And I told her, yeah, I'd go to church with her. But for probably 25 years, I didn't attend church with her. In May of 2021, I asked Nancy one Saturday what time we were going to church the next morning, and it just about floored her. Since May 2021, I guess you could say that coming to church, I've jumped in with both feet, head on.
And he goes, so what time are you going to church tomorrow? Except that he didn't say you, he said we. Now, this is right after Pastor Wolfgang told me to get out of God's way when it came to Tim going to church. And I was like, I didn't hear that.
No, church was not what I expected it to be. To me, it's a 360-degree turnaround from what I experienced as a child and a young teenager growing up. The pastors are more personable. I don't find myself having problems talking to any of the pastors, Pastor Daniel, Pastor Athena, Pastor Pam, any of them. I'm very happy that Nancy and I both can come to church and enjoy church together.
One of the things I like is that there's a lot of outreach and there are a lot of opportunities. I could go and tie knots and quilts that are going around the world or to disaster areas here in the States, or I could cook dinners and take them to people. I'm not a good DoorDash. If I bring a meal to someone and they want to talk, I'm staying.
Ain't that the truth? She loves making meals and taking them to people. I'm not a social butterfly, I guess you could say. I found that they had a woodworking group, and I jumped right in with that. I love doing woodworking. I've made a lot of good things. Pastor Daniel's shelves, if you ask me, they look awesome in his office. Myself and him and his kids did all these.
And I was delighted to participate in Pride Week, and I gave away more grandma hugs than anybody. I spent 2 hours and I loved it. You'd be amazed how many people told me that their mother wouldn't hug them. Their grandmother used to hug them, but she's gone now and there's nobody to hug them. They cried, I cried. But that outreach, it's God made you the way you are. My God does not make mistakes. It made me realize that the impact that you have on a community is not always money. It is not always food. Sometimes it's just something as simple as loving a person where they stand.
Yeah. My oldest son's mother and his stepfather didn't treat him very well at all. When he came out, he went to Nancy and asked Nancy if she would tell me that he was gay. He called and he says, I need to talk to you. He says, I'm gay. I said, okay. And I said, no matter what, you'll always be my son and I will always love you. From that day forward, I think that him and I have had a whole lot better relationship.
It's very important that you take care of those that in your church family. It is very, very important. And we owe it. We owe it to God and we owe it to our community. I think one of the best things that we've done together that really meant the most to us is we took a trip in Windsor, North Carolina. But to see the impact and to see how appreciative people are of something so simple and something so important.
Yeah.
I want to break the cycle of poverty for somebody else, even if it's a tiny way. Even if it's only a kid having a good Christmas or having supplies to go to school in, poverty can be broken, and it takes a lot more than me and Tim.
And that's why I think that we do so much for the church. And if I can use my time and some of the resources that I have, that's what I want to do. I want to give back. And I quit going to church, and then coming to CTK, it's been a whole different story. I wouldn't change it for the world.